Hey guys, so we are back with another video. Nigel has been wanting me to do this video for a while now. I just haven't been ready to do it. I do talk about it sometimes during our vlogs, but he wants me to actually do a talk, so here we are. This video is going to be about postpartum depression. I didn't think that I would go through it just for the fact that I have experience with babies. My last job before working in the medical field, I was babysitting a pair of twins. One of them was very colicky and the other one was just, she really didn't care, and they were twins, one boy, one girl. So I've had experience dealing with colic babies, but it's different when it's your own because they're with you 24/7. You can't give them back, they're yours. So it's a lot harder, and I already go through some kind of depression working in the field that I work at. It's medical field is a lot different than what I had experienced beforehand, before COVID. It's just a lot of people are completely different. So during my pregnancy, I was very stressed and just depressed. Even before my pregnancy, I was depressed for a good 6 months, and I hit it very well that no one really noticed until I hit a breaking point and Nigel asked me a question, and I just immediately just started breaking down crying. And it's just that at first I was a receptionist, and then I ended up being a scheduler, and even that alone, reception is definitely hard, but working just only on phones is even harder because you're constantly dealing with the backlash from different patients. If the appointment had to be canceled because a provider's out, you have to deal with that even though it's not your fault. So during my pregnancy, it was the worst, and I was constantly coming home and just really upset, and then just other personal things that was going on just topped it off. And so I was already starting at a very rocky road. And once baby girl was born, things just was different. At first she was born with jaundice, so I was worried about that. I was worried if it was going to go away, and it definitely did. But at that point, when she was going through that, she was very tired, always tired, sleeping all the time. So she was barely crying as much as she does now. Honestly, once that wore off and we had moved into our new apartment, her crying became so constant, and at that she was on Similac, which is a formula that they gave us at the hospital because at the moment my breast milk hadn't came in yet. And even when my breast milk finally did come in, I wasn't eating a lot as I was supposed to. I was constantly stressed based on the personal things that were going on between me and Nigel's in our lives overall. So it took some time to come, and when it finally did, it was just too much going on. And so with her, she was in between Similac and then my breast milk, and Similac has lactose in it. So unfortunately for me, I am lactose intolerant, and I believe Nigel is too, so she might have picked that up. Even when I was a baby, I had to be on special milk. So but I wasn't as fussy as she is. And honestly speaking, I feel like she is a lot more fussy than the babies I have dealt with who were colicky. She cries all day. The girl could cry for a good hour or two, and I could try everything possible and she just wouldn't stop. And then it didn't help that during the first 2 months of her being in this world, she didn't want to be with Nigel at all. So it made it even more harder for me to have a break or just take a breather for a second. So anytime he would carry her, she would just immediately start breaking down crying like if someone's killing her. So it was really hard for me to just have a second to myself. And so I had changed her formula, and I ended up having her on Enfamil, the purple container, for gentle stomachs. So that helped a little bit. She was able to use the bathroom a little bit more, but she's still crying a lot. And unfortunately for me, I already get frustrated enough easily. And some people will say, well, if you weren't ready to have a kid, then you shouldn't have. we do know the consequences of having babies, but you never think that you're gonna go through postpartum depression, even though you have so much support. My mom comes majority of the weekends to try and help me and have me, you know, get me to sleep and stuff like that. But once I hear her cry, and like she can go from 0 to 100 in within a second. So she could start whining and then immediately start screaming like if someone's like murdering her or harming her. So like with me, when I hear that, it's like fight or flight mode. Like I'm just like, oh my god, okay, here, come over here, let me try and do as much as I possibly can to relieve that stress from you. And it's just frustrating when you don't know what's going on with your child, and like it's slowly starting to get better, but it feels like it's never going to end. And sometimes, you know, like there are some parents that I have read through Facebook and comments and stuff like that where they're just like, you know, they never had those thoughts of harming their kid. Unfortunately for me, like, not that I would ever harm her. She is the love of my life. She is my heart. She is my soul. Like, I can never see myself harming her. But sometimes I do have those thoughts when she's crying so badly, and I'm doing everything I possibly can to stop her. And like, I'm rocking her, I'm walking her around the apartment, I know that she just ate, so I know that she's not hungry. I'm trying to relieve any gas that's going on in her stomach, so I'm trying different techniques, but just nothing is working, and she's just crying and crying and crying. And so then sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe she's tired. Try putting her to sleep, and she's screaming like if I'm doing something to her and I'm not. And so it just like, it gets me going, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I don't know what to do. And sometimes in my head I'm like, kind of want to like fling this child. But I don't do it. I put her down, I walk away for a second, I kind of try to catch my breath for a second, and I go back and I try again, you know. But like, it still like gets to me, and it's still just, I genuinely just don't ever know what to do. And you know, some people are like, you know, well, you could take your break when she's sleeping and stuff like that. And it's like, that's really not a break, because I'm still with her. And these days, even when she was a month or 2 months, it was really hard because she doesn't sleep long. Like, at first she was sleeping like an hour or 2 or 3, then it started becoming increasingly like 5 hours, 6 hours. But now, especially right now, I don't know what's going on with her. It's like on and off. It's like she keeps trying to wake herself up, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, it's a lot. And you know, I feel like I'm suffering. I feel like I'm losing myself. Like, I'm not able to be Carla. I'm just mom, 100% just mom. And I feel like some people don't get that. And at first, you know, like I had to have several conversations with Nigel too, because he didn't get it either. And it's like, you know, you get to go outside. You, even if you don't like going to work, you get to go to work and be you and make your own money. I'm stuck at home 24/7 with her, and I haven't had a break from her since she's been born. I've been with her 24/7, all day, all night, waking up with her every single night. And sometimes, you know, like even if she sleeps throughout the night, I still find myself waking up like every 10 minutes or every 20 minutes just to make sure she's breathing. You know, and that's just me being me. I'm a very paranoid person. So like, I'm constantly checking on her. I'm constantly trying, like, are you all right? Or like, are you breathing? Like, let me see a little bit movement here. All right, she's good. So it's definitely hard being a first time mom. I don't know how people do it multiple times. Like, I'm on the verge where I'm just like, I don't want any more kids. Like, she's good. She could be the only child. Like, that's how I feel, just because she cries so much all day, and I feel like I'm constantly fighting with her, and it's like there's just no sense of relief for her. And she's just also so eager to like crawl and stand up and walk. Like right now, she's been lifting herself up since like she was 2 months. So she wants to do these things, she just can't do them yet. And that's something that she's not understanding, which of course, like, she's a baby and she's a girl too. So it's like she's very eager to do things. And so she gets frustrated, so then she starts screaming and crying. And then it's just like, I don't know how many times I can change her formula, you know, just in case it is, you know, her stomach issues, because again, I was born with stomach issues, so she might have that problem too. And so it's just really, really hard with a baby who is so fussy. It just feels like, you know, it's never ever ever going to end. And you know, I read so many things like on Facebook and just like mom blogs and stuff like that, and you know, they always say like it's gonna get easy, like it's just gonna go by the months. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, she's super fussy now, and then once she hits that point where she starts teething, it's just gonna be even more like, oh my god, like, can you please calm down for a second? But again, it doesn't stop me from being a mom and being there for her 24/7 and showing her love and affection. It definitely doesn't. And again, I never ever try and harm my child. Anytime I do have those thoughts, I legit put her down and I walk away, take a breather for a second, go right back, try again. And majority of the time I am very successful. And sometimes if Nigel is here, because now he's back at work full time, when he is here, sometimes I do have to tell him, hey, listen, I need help. Like, genuinely speaking, I need help. I need you to get off the game. I need you to help me, please, because I'm having those thoughts. I feel like I'm gonna throw her across the room, like. and again, some women say that they don't go through those things. Like, how can you feel like you want to harm your kid? But when you're hearing a child scream bloody murder and you can't seem to like resolve their like cry, is just like, it's so much. And it's like, even when she's crying and he's talking to me, I'm just like, I need you to stop talking to me for a second, because I can't think. Like, like, and again, this is all day, every day. And I don't know what to do. And, you know, it feels like she could be getting better because she's talking more now. She's still trying to like move. She's actually completing like moving up on her own and like staying up for like maybe a few seconds, and then like she'll like fall down over. But like she's kind of advancing it a little bit faster than I thought. But you know, the crying is still very frequent, and I genuinely just don't know what's wrong. And I try to look for every sign possible to see if it is gas related, like if she's crunching over or anything like that. And at one point she was doing that with Similac, and she wasn't pooping as often with Similac, which is why she most likely was crying the way that she was. But now she's she's pooping more, and she isn't holding, like flinching over or whatever the case may be. So I personally never know really what's going on with her. And then she also just gives me an issue with trying to put her to sleep. At first, like, it's like at one day I could easily put her to sleep and she'll sleep and on a set schedule, and then like the next day or the next week is like she switches, and I'm just like, okay, battle's not over. All right. It is what it is. And honestly, I will say I've cried more than I've ever cried before in my life. And you know, again, I love her with all my heart. She is my entire world, and I would kill anybody for this kid, okay? But it's just, she's a lot. Like, it feels like I have 3 other kids with her just alone. And so I'm just like, I give kudos to a lot of moms who, you know, have triplets and twins and stuff like that. Like, I give them props, because I generally don't know how they do it. I just have one, and feel like I'm going through hell at the moment. And you know, I felt like I could never have kids, and so having her means everything to me. It's just, it's not easy. And you know, parenthood isn't going to be easy at all whatsoever. And sometimes you just don't think it's going to be you that's going to suffer and just go through what you're going through. But you know, stuff happens, and I'm trying my hardest, trying to be the best mom that I could be. Sometimes I have those thoughts and those moments where I'm like, damn, I feel like a terrible mom just because I can't take her crying at all whatsoever. Like, I don't know what to do. And then sometimes, you know, Nigel and my mom try to help me through that process, and they're just like, no, like, you're an amazing mom. You do whatever you have to do for her. And, you know, I try my hardest, but again, it's like really, really hard. Like, I've, you know, had attitudes with Nigel here and there, and I give him props too, because I'm not the easiest person to deal with at this very moment, you know. And even when I do feel like I'm about to have an attitude with him, I try and like walk away and things like that, because you don't want to make your partner feel like crap either. And so sometimes we do sit down and we do have those conversations too, like, hey, like, are you okay? Like, are you all right? Like, what's going on? Like, how can we fix this? Just because it's very known that when you have a newborn baby, a lot of relationships don't last, especially because your partner doesn't understand that this is what you're going through. And sometimes he doesn't understand what I'm going through, and I have to like kind of explain and just reiterate, like, hey, like, I'm a new mom, like, this is a lot for me. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy these videos, and, you know, comment your experience as a new mom.